In this video, I'm going to take you through how to add questions to a quiz once you've created it. So you'll navigate to your quiz and choose the Edit button. Once it opens, you'll navigate to the Questions tab. Now you'll notice I already put some questions in here, but I'm going to take you through all different types of questions. At the bottom, you'll see that there's the option to add individual new questions, add new question groups, or find questions that you've previously created in Canvas. For the purposes of our video today, we're just going to add individual questions. So to add a question, you'll select New Question. And when you do that, you'll see this box pop up. Here from the drop-down menu, you can select what type of question you'd like to add. So you can have multiple choice, true, false, any kind of question that you've traditionally used on tests. You can also select how many points you want that question to be worth. You'll notice the default is 1, but you can override that and change it depending on the scope of the question. In this part here, you'll add the body of the question, and then you'll go in and populate the answers. Now, this looks a little different for each type of question that you choose, so I'm going to take you through some pre-created questions and show you how you would create them on your own. Once you've created a question, you can always edit it by selecting the pencil button or delete it by selecting the X. In this case, I want to edit. So the first type of question I've done is a multiple choice. You'll notice that you put the question in this big yellow box, and then your answers appear below. Notice that you can edit the text of the question using the Rich Content Editor. So if you have keywords like not that you want to bold or underline, you can do that. You can also add things like images or media files to any question. So you really have quite a bit of range with what you do. Then below, you'll start to list your answers. Notice that on the details page, it's important that you select Shuffle Answers. By selecting Shuffle Answers, everybody's quiz will be a bit unique. So this way, you don't have to manually shuffle them by putting answers in different places and then selecting the green arrow. In this case, I always just leave the default correct answer at the top, and then I put my distractors underneath and let the computer do the work for me. It really speeds up your time when you're building your quiz. So here I have 4 choices, but let's say I want to eliminate and only give my students 3 choices. I can always use the trash button to delete an answer, or I can use the pencil button to edit an answer. I can, again, add images, I can add bold, I can add underline, whatever I want. In this case, I simply want to delete that answer. When I'm ready, I'll press Update Question, and that will save any changes that I make to the question. The next type of question I created was a true-false question. These are pretty common and pretty simple to create. You'll put your statement that students have to evaluate in the yellow box, and then you'll select true or false. Notice for this one, I did have to move the correct answer because it defaults to true. So to change and set the answer, you just navigate to the answer that you want and then select the green arrow. Now you'll see it turns the box to green, indicating that this is the correct answer. When I'm ready, I can update my question. The next type of question that's pretty common is a fill in the blank question. So here you see you put the statement in the box and you just manually insert a line for where you want that blank. Then what you do is you put any possible choices in the answers section. Notice they're all correct. Now this is really a poorly written question because the answers son, child, descendant, who knows what my students will come up with. All of those are correct. You really want to write one that's less nebulous. So what I'm going to do is put son in there, and instead I'm going to get rid of the name and just put the line. Now my students are responsible for knowing that Shakespeare's son was named Hamnet, and I can get rid of all these other iterations because they would no longer be correct. By the way, I should have mentioned, to change the type of question, you just go into this default drop-down menu, and then you can select what type of question that you want. Notice I've selected a different type for each of the questions we've previewed so far. When I'm ready, I'll update the question. The next type of question I've got for you is a multiple answers question. So let's go in and take a look. Again, from the drop-down, I've selected multiple answers, and then I've given the directions here. Select all of the comedies from the list below. Notice there are multiple correct answers, so I had to go in and I had to manually identify which ones were correct. In this case, Julius Caesar is not, so I'm just going to click that again to read it out and show that it's an incorrect choice. One thing I want to do is update the point value. Now it is giving away the game a little bit if I make it 1, 2, 3 correct answers. So maybe I'll make this one worth 5 points. So that way your number of points matches the total answers correct and incorrect, and that way you don't get any weird splitting up or, partial points. I'm going to update my question, and now you can see it's 5 questions for that multiple correct answers question. Next one we've got is a matching question. These are pretty popular. So you give simple directions, match each character with his or her description. On the left-hand side, you're going to write the answers. So in this case, this is the characters. On the right-hand side, I've given descriptors, and just to make this a little more difficult for my students, I also added distractor answers, so descriptors that won't match with any of the characters. You can do that by typing them each on their own separate line in that distractor answers category. When I'm ready, notice by the way, when you put the answers in, you put them on the same line as each other, so that way the computer knows to mark those answers correct. When I'm ready, I'll press Update Question. And now that question is in there with the correct answers. All right, the next type of question that I'm going to show you is the numeric question. So we don't use these so much in English, but I did my best. From the drop-down menu, you're going to select numerical answer. And then your students will be given a text box to type the number of the correct answer. So here I just wrote a quick little word problem, figuring out how many plays Shakespeare wrote on average each year during the course of his career. I asked them to round it to the nearest whole number, and to put the answer in, I'll put exact answer 2. You can change that to answers within a given range, or you could change that to an answer with precision, the decimal, right? But in this case, I'm just going to go exact answer 2. That's the simplest one, and I update the question. This will require students to type a numeric answer in. The last type of question I did was an essay question. So again, from the drop-down menu, I've selected essay question, and I type the prompt in the box. This one cannot be auto-scored by the computer. You'll notice there's no place to type in a correct answer. You've got to score this one yourself. So depending on how much work you want to do grading versus the computer, be judicious in your choice of essay questions. I do want to change the point value for this, maybe to 15 points, because to me, essays are the most important as an English teacher, and then I'm going to update the question. Once I'm ready, I can look at what these questions look like from my student's point of view. So I'm simply going to save and then choose the preview button. Here, my students will see the quiz instructions and then all of the questions listed below. They'll also have this running list of questions. So now you can see what your multiple choice questions look like. You can see what your true-false questions look like, as well as your fill in the blank where they'll have to type in an answer. Their multiple answers question where they'll have to select. And then the descriptor question. So maybe here, I'm just gonna randomly pick. Okay, there we go. Here I've got my numeric answer. So let's say I'm going to type in an answer. And then finally down here, I've got my my essay question. So this is what each of the different question formats look like. If your students are having trouble with a question, or maybe, I put my answer in, but I'm not so sure about my math, they can always flag it when they're working on the quiz. And then what's kind of interesting up here. So here in yellow, I can see questions I've responded to. The blue questions I haven't answered yet, and any flags I've placed on a question will appear in that running list also. So it just kind of gives your students a snapshot before they press submit. They can go back in and see if they left any blank or any that they want to just double check. All right, that was the most basic types of questions. I'll go back in and do some more advanced questions later, but hopefully that's enough to get you started. If you ever have any questions, please let me know.